Come on in, come on in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. You're welcome to the live stream. Please come in, come in. Let me know where you are watching from. Tell me where you're watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. You are on to Yes, Life Coaching Woman Stand in Your Power, where we talk about trending topics. We talk about topics that affect women, young girls, and all of that. So come on in. Let me know where you are watching me from. Okay, come on in. All right. So let's just go straight into what we need to talk about today. Let's go straight into it. What happens when an alleged secret relationship, a multi-million-dollar career, and the passing of a 14-year-old girl all collide inside one courtroom? After 5 days of disturbing testimony, the preliminary hearing involving singer D4vd has officially ended, and the judge has made a major decision. So David Anthony Burke, professionally known as D4vd, has been ordered to stand trial on every charge against him, include first degree M. Yes, you heard that. But what evidence convinced the judge to move this case forward? What did the final messages between D4vd and Celeste Rivas allegedly reveal to us, to all of us? How strong do we think the persecution's case is? And what questions will the defense raise when this case reaches a jury? Today, we are breaking down days 4 and day 5, days 4 and 5 of the preliminary hearing. And we are going to be looking at the judge's final ruling and the deeper lessons that this case holds for parents, for caregivers, for young people. Because this is more than a celebrity court case. This is a story that is about power, secrecy, about adult responsibility, and the tragic consequences that can follow when you are protecting an image, or when protecting an image becomes more important than protecting a child. With that, I say you are very, very welcome to Yes, Life Coaching Woman Stand in Your Power. I am Femi, and here we do more than discuss what is trending. We uncover the lessons that can help women and families recognize danger. We help them make empowered decisions and protect people that they love.
Stand in your power. Own every minute, every hour. This is your story. Starting now. Stand in your power. Let the world see how. Stand in your power. Stand in your power now. Turn up your voice, your truth, your wow. Stand in your power. This is your channel now.
Welcome back. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this live with another parent or another caregiver. As you join in, please let me know where you are watching me from. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from. I would really love to know. Okay? Before we continue, I want to give you a warning. This discussion involves the alleged SA passing and dismemberment of a child. I will not share unnecessary graphic details, but some of the evidence may still be, disturbing. All right? Please protect your emotional well-being and use discretion if children are nearby. I want to be very clear about the legal status of this case. Like I always say, D4vd has pleaded not guilty. He has not been convicted of these crimes. A preliminary hearing is not a trial. The judge was only deciding whether prosecutors presented enough probable cause for the case to continue. So this is the before of the main trial. Let me say it like that. The standard at trial will be much higher. Hence, the prosecutors will have to prove every charge that they have brought on him beyond a reasonable doubt. So throughout this life, I will clearly distinguish courtroom testimony, persecutions, allegations, and matters that have not yet been proven. Okay, for those of you that are just watching us or joining us for the first time, let me explain briefly how this case reached this point. Now, prosecutors have alleged that D4vd began communicating with Celeste Rivas online when she was 11 years of age. They claim the relationship later became sexual when Celeste was 13 and D4vd was 18, sorry. In February 2024, law enforcement went to D4vd's residence while investigating Celeste's disappearance, all right? Body cam footage showed that they were speaking to him and D4vd was telling officers that, oh, she was 18. However, the officers went ahead and let him know that this person is not 18. This person is 13. Okay? So that moment is important because prosecutors argue that whatever he may have initially believed, he was directly told her true age, which means he should have stopped that relationship. But prosecutors alleged that the relationship continued. He went ahead. They claim that Celeste became pregnant at 18. What? They claim that she became pregnant at 13, and had an evacuation of the pregnancy in January 2024. What? They also alleged that the two of them discussed marriage. Discussed marriage and how they will be living together. According to the prosecution, Celeste confronted D4vd about another woman on April 22nd, 2025. During that argument, she allegedly threatened to expose their relationship and ruin his career. Then, the following day, Celeste traveled to his Hollywood Hills home in an Uber. And prosecutors alleged that she was ended after she arrived that house. Months later, on September 8th, which is unfortunately my birthday, September 8th, Celeste remains were discovered in the frunk of D4vd's Tesla after that vehicle was towed. I'm just trying to give you a summary, right, for those people who are watching for the first time. The medical examiner ruled her passing as homicide. Now, that is the prosecution's basic story. Meanwhile, the defense maintains that D4vd did not end Celeste and was not responsible for her passing. That is what the defense, that's his lawyers, are saying. Now, we established before we before we further discuss the final 2 days, I just want to give us a quick reminder of the evidence introduced during the first 3 days. Now, investigators testified about Celeste remains being discovered in his car, her DNA reportedly being detected in his Tesla and his garage, possible blood evidence on garage mats, a tarp, a rowing machine, and cleaning wipes. They also said there was a damaged inflatable pool found in the garage, plastic pieces covered with Celeste's remains that allegedly fitted missing areas of the pool. They also showed us purchases of a cadaver bag, chainsaws, cleaning products, and other equipment after Celeste disappeared. They also showed us D4vd's cell phone and Tesla reportedly traveling to the area where Celeste's passport card was later discovered. The million of dollars that D4vd had already had earned, and the additional money potentially available through future albums and endorsements. So these are the things that were discussed in day 1 to 3. Defense also challenged the investigation by raising questions about evidence handling, contamination, incomplete testing, and all that. So that brings us to day 4. I just wanted to give us a quick summary of day 1 to 3. Now, let's go to day 4. On day 4, Dr. Grant Ho of the LA County Department of Medical Examiners testified about Celeste's autopsy. According to the testimony, Celeste's remains were badly decomposed because of that decomposition. Now, because of that, the medical examiner could not determine the exact date or time of her passing. Okay? They also said that they identified 2 significant sharp force injury, one affecting her abdomen and liver, and another involving the left side of her chest and ribs. What? Her passing was classified as a homicide caused by multiple penetrating injuries. Now, the medical examiner could not identify the precise weapon, okay, but at the same time, it could not also determine whether every injury occurred before she passed or after she passed. Now, all of these are limitations, and these limitations matter because the defense will likely emphasize everything that the medical evidence cannot prove. Okay? Now, the autopsy could establish that Celeste passed as a result of the homicide, according to the examiner, but it could not independently identify who ended her or precisely when it happened. If you can hear me, can you please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? Can you please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? All right. So a medical examiner can explain the nature of a person's injuries and determine a cause and manner of passing, but the examiner cannot automatically identify the person responsible. Okay, so the prosecution must use other evidence to make that connection. So they have the burden of proof. Prosecution has the body of proof. Let me even know if I can hear myself. Let me test it. Testing. Okay, so the medical examiner was also questioned about toxicology testing, right? Also questioned about toxicology testing. That was because no usable BLOOD was available. Testing was reportedly performed on her liver. We also had that an initial, let me see if this thing is working. God help us today. Okay, let's see. We also had that. Okay, we are good. We are good. Okay. So they said there was the initial whatever is saying that there was possible presence of some benzodiazepines or some substances. However, further testing was negative for those substances. Okay. And at some point, some of them were even inconclusive. If you're watching, please do like the live stream, the medical examiner said that it could not conclude that DRUGS played any role in her passing, but there was some in her system. Okay. So the defense also questioned whether the composition could have affected those results. Before we go ahead, let's watch a few videos that I saw online. Okay, let's watch some videos that I saw online. Okay, let's watch this and hear what they have to say. Okay, let's go. Uh-oh, am I sharing? Let me see if I'm sharing the correct thing. I'm not even sharing. Lord help me. I am not sharing. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. Okay, let's go ahead. There you go. Let's go ahead and watch this.
In court and listen to a detective testify on the witness stand while showing photos about the way that their daughter's body was discovered at that tow yard in Hollywood, the condition of her remains, and the beginning stages of this investigation. Prosecutors today really focused on those first few days of the investigation. What detectives found, the clues, they say, even in those first hours began to point them towards the singer known as David and the home he was living in the Hollywood Hills. These sketches from court show David, whose legal name is David Burke, sitting in the 9th floor courtroom today as prosecutors showed photos of the way 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was discovered, dismembered in an advanced state of decomposition. Rivas Hernandez's parents sat in the front row. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman turned around and warned them about what was about to be shown, and at one point suggested they put their heads down.
What? I can only imagine how her parents must have felt. I can only imagine what was going through their mind. Said, if this, let me hear that again. If they cannot, they should put their heads down.
And the home he was living in the Hollywood Hills. These sketches from court show David, whose legal name is David Burke, sitting in the 9th floor courtroom today as prosecutors showed photos of the way 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was discovered, dismembered in an advanced state of decomposition. Rivas Hernandez's parents sat in the front row. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman turned around and warned them about what was about to be shown, and at one point suggested they put their heads down.
What parents? I just put myself in the shoes of her parents. Like how they will be feeling. What parent wants to see that kind of thing? It's disheartening, it's painful. It's sad. Let's keep watching.
Celeste was found last September in the front trunk of a black Tesla in Hollywood. The car, of course, registered to David Burke. And these photos, just part of the presentation of evidence where the prosecution is demonstrating to the judge that there's enough here for the case to go to a jury trial. An LAPD detective on the witness stand for much of the day recounting how multiple clues pointed immediately towards Burke. Among them, electronic data that shows Burke was the last person to drive his Tesla on July 29th, 2025. That was about a month before Celeste was found.
I think they got this guy. In my opinion, what do you guys think? In my opinion, I think they have enough proof. I believe they have enough proof to hold this guy. I mean, if you were the last person seen driving that Tesla before it was parked, that means you knew that somebody was inside there. You knew that that child was inside that place. And again, from what we heard that there was 11 air fresheners inside the in fact, before we continue, let me just go ahead and maybe finish day 4. Let me finish day 4 before we continue, because This is crazy. Let me just finish day 4, okay? So, well, they're still saying that no evidence establishing overdose, because remember I told you that they saw some substances. So no evidence concerning overtake or her ending herself was presented during the hearing now, but the official manner of passing remained homicide. This is as at then we see here that still on day 4, that day 4 then shifted from medical evidence to digital evidence. Oh my God. As in, I believe they got this guy. So I think there was one, the LAPD, the LAPD detective, was it Corey Farrell? He said that he testified about the information that was recovered from D4vd's iPhone and his iCloud account. And it was said that they recovered thousands of messages that were exchanged from D4vd and Celeste. And they also described the photographs that showed the two of them together when Celeste was 13 and D4vd was 18. Some of the photographs were described as explicit. They were not publicly shown because prosecutors said they constituted CSAM. Do you understand what I mean? Some child SA material. Other photographs allegedly showed the pair kissing, lying together, displaying matching tattoos and all that. According to the testimony, a paragraph of D4vd and Celeste was also used. Sorry, I said paragraph. Photograph. A photograph of both of them was used as a screensaver for his phone. Now, why is this evidence important? Because it is important because the prosecution says it contradicts the earlier account the D4vd reportedly gave to law enforcement. He allegedly told deputies that he and Celeste had only met at a beach. The digital evidence, if authenticated and accepted by jury, could indicate a much longer and a much intimate relationship. Let's continue watching.
Then search warrants led to online purchase records that the detective says shows Burke bought 3 chainsaws, a shovel, a body bag, and an incinerator all around the time Rivas Hernandez disappeared. Photos of these items were shown in court. The detective explained how some of the equipment was delivered by Amazon, DoorDash, and Postmates. No blood was found on those saws. It turns out they weren't tested for DNA. Earlier, an LA County Sheriff's deputy testified about a welfare check that he was sent to in a home in West Hollywood where Burke was staying. The home was searched for Celeste. She wasn't there. But at one point, body-worn video captured Burke saying that Rivas Hernandez had told him she was 18 years old, and then he learned she was 13 years old. And key to the prosecution's presentation here, they say at the time of the recording, Burke was already involved in an intimate relationship with the teen. On the witness stand this afternoon, a music industry financial executive who managed part of Burke's financial empire. The reason he was on the stand is that prosecutors are trying to show that there's evidence to prove that David, the singer, stood to lose potentially millions of dollars if he became an accused sex offender, which is what they say Rivas Hernandez was threatening to do in text messages. This goes to the potential motive of the case. The music
intent. So that particular one is trying to prove intent. Let's keep watching.
The executive said Burke had earned somewhere between $10 and $11 million at the time that Rivas's body was found. Preliminary hearings are usually short. This one's expected to go on for a couple more days. Live at criminal courts downtown, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
And Eric, what more can we expect moving forward during the week in this hearing?
Well, there's a lot more to this investigation beyond the discovery of the remains, which we heard a lot about today, and some of those initial electronic clues that pointed towards Burke, at least according to the police department. There's a lot more forensic work that was done to learn how Celeste died, the mechanisms, what they were able to learn about how she wound up in that Tesla, and some of the other things that happened that the police are saying amounts to a solid murder case. Plus, there's a lot of stuff about the relationship between Burke and Rivas, we should say the alleged relationship here, that prosecutors plan to call another detective to testify about probably as soon as tomorrow.
So for more context, let's bring in our legal analyst, Royal Oakes. Royal, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
So through Eric Leonard, who's in the courtroom, we've been told testimony is being heard and disturbing evidence has been revealed. What does a judge need to hear to agree to a trial at this point?
Judge doesn't need to hear too much. Probable cause at a preliminary hearing will result in the almost inevitable decision to go to trial. And of course,
This guy is so cooked, guys.
Prosecution, they're not burying the lead, and that would be her body was found in Burke's car. Now, there's also the classic indicators connected with murder: motive, opportunity, means. The motive allegedly was she said to him, look, if you're not exclusive to me with our sexual relationship, I will blow the whistle and your career will be over. Opportunity, he allegedly set a car for her to come to his house to talk about things. And the means, he went online using a fake.
He lured her. He lured her to his house to end her, knowing fully well that she's a runaway from home. He lured her. Oh my goodness. Lord have mercy. If you are watching, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.
Name buying a chainsaw and an inflatable pool to help with the killing and the dismemberment. So all of these things are going to be presented this week by the DA.
Yeah, which is why you bring that up, Royal, which is why the DA is opening the door for possible death penalty here.
That's right. They have said they may seek the death penalty. And you might say, well, what are you talking about? This is California. We don't execute people. Governor Newsom has turned San Quentin into a rehabilitation center. But the fact of the matter is we don't know what the next governor will feel about the capital punishment issue. And DA Hochman says that that is on the table. And when you look at the issues that could trigger capital punishment, silencing a witness, financial benefit, Burke was looking at millions of dollars every year. In his career that would have ended if she had blown the whistle on him.
Well, his lawyer had asked the judge for an order to unshackle him for the proceedings. That didn't happen. Why do you think the judge denied that?
You know, it's a tough call. If you're at trial, then you are not shackled. You can wear a nice dress suit. You don't want to appear in a jumpsuit because courts have said that violates the presumption of innocence. But this isn't a trial. This is a preliminary hearing. Now, usually you have restraints if somebody maybe is crazy violent or they're planning an escape. I doubt the judge has any evidence of those things. But in general, if capital punishment is involved, why take any chances? I think that was the judge's attitude toward imposing the restraints.
So as far as the defense, so they're hearing some gruesome evidence here. What's their strategy likely to be?
Yeah, it's a tough call here. I mean, you want to put your best foot forward, but the defense knows it's almost certain that they're going to have to go to trial. So why would you tip your hand and show a lot of information that might surprise the prosecution at trial? Bottom line is I think the defense wants to push the mantra. Just because somebody's body is found in your car doesn't mean you did it. Whereas the...
That's true, though. That's true, though. Well, personal opinion, I think, is cooked, but he's right. Just because someone's body was found in his car doesn't mean he did it. But again, there are a lot of evidences, so we are going to wait until trial. Like he already said, it's possible that the defense, they have their joker and they are not bringing it out soon. They are not bringing it out now until the trial. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? Because the digital evidence is quite much. The evidence is quite much, in my opinion. Okay, and some of the most heartbreaking evidence involved messages concerning Celeste's pregnancy, a minor being listen, if they don't hold him for anything, in my opinion, I believe they are going to hold him for that illegal relationship with her, because they have proof. They have proof of that one. If they cannot hold him for the capital M, they will hold him for that one. Okay? So according to the courtroom testimony, the messages indicate that Celeste became pregnant at 13 and had a removal in January 2024. And in all of those exchanges, Celeste reportedly identified D4vd as the father. Aye. Other messages allegedly show him asking about the procedure, apologizing for putting her through the situation, and he was also discussing ways to prevent another pregnancy. This evidence could become central to continuous essay charge. I mean, that one is glaring. If, okay, whatever was not, DRUGUs was not substantiated, they don't know if he was the one that ended her, blah, blah, blah. The fact that they found her in his car does not mean he ended her. Now, if prosecutors can authenticate the messages and establish that D4vd participated in those conversations, they may argue that the exchanges or those, whatever, demonstrates his knowledge of the relationship, and it demonstrates his knowledge of Celeste's age. Now, the defense will have an opportunity to now challenge how the messages were obtained, interpreted, and connected to the people prosecutor claim sent them. So now the burden of proof is on the prosecutors. But we must pause. Let us pause and remember something important. We need to remember that at the center of all these messages was a 13-year-old child facing an adult situation. Whatever emotions Celeste may have expressed, a child cannot carry responsibility for maintaining an adult boundary. No, that should not be the responsibility of a child. That responsibility belongs to the older person in the relationship, and that person is D4vd. I can only imagine how that child must have felt. Again, she was 13. She was 13. There was also plan for marriage. There were other messages that alleged discussion about marriage, international travel, and a plan for Celeste to move into D4vd's home. And there was another plan that I heard of that they called Operation Awesome, which allegedly involved Celeste living with him. That particular plan was how the Operation Awesome was D4vd and his security guard driving to Celeste's home and asking her to pack all her belongings into his car to run away and start living with him. The messages included suggestions that they could leave the United States and get married in Italy. There were also discussions about the missing person postals, discussions about traveling through airports, and discussions about keeping their sexual relationship hidden. Now, if all of these are accurately presented, these messages could help prosecutors establish an ongoing pattern of secrecy and all of that. But from it's I don't know what to say. Let's watch this video. Let's just watch this video because all this is crazy. Let's watch this video before I go ahead.
There was another high-profile case today. It's the fifth and likely final day of a hearing to determine whether singer David will go on trial in the killing of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Prosecutors today gave a moment-by-moment account of the last night of her life, showing that after a stream of text messages with the singer, for example, her phone went permanently silent when she arrived at home. How much does the prosecution case, you think, hinder on these text messages?
Oh, the text messages in the case of David, it is crucial, and it's crucial for various reasons. There's no eyewitness to this homicide, so the prosecution is using that timeline, those text messages, to, number one, determine when was she actually killed. Number two, where was she when she was actually killed? And of course, there's information in terms of that David had sent an Uber for her to come to the home. But also those text messages shows motive in the sense of that there was a big argument via text and she was threatening to expose him. So that's also why it's important. But it's also important for one of the third charges in the sense of the what he did to the body, but also for the special circumstances in the sense of the continued relationship, sexual relationship with a child under the age of 14, and also for her being killed for a reason of money, and as well as him being actually outed. So it's a lengthy case when it does ultimately go to trial, but those text messages are very crucial in this case.
So in your opinion, you think that this case will ultimately go to trial?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Bernarda, thank you so much for all the analysis. The man serving consecutive.
Okay, so these are the reasons for them saying, hey, this case has to go to trial. What are your thoughts? Let me know what your thoughts are before I continue. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. So, looking at it, I mean, when a child is encouraged to believe that hiding a relationship is an act of loyalty, that secrecy can begin to feel romantic to the child, but it is not romantic. Healthy love does not require a child to lie about their age, hide from their family, or protect an older person from legal and social consequences. A lot of people would like to ask, which I have also asked, what would make a 13-year-old child run away from home? Now, we are going to park that there. Another important Day 4 development involved the name Travion Davis. Now, there was a message that allegedly showed D4vd acknowledging that he sometimes used that name when ordering deliveries to his home. Why does that matter? It matters because earlier testimony indicates that some of the chainsaws, the cadaver bags, and all those other supplies were purchased using the same name after Celeste disappeared. So you see why I say it's so cooked? This name alone does not prove that D4vd used those items to commit or conceal a crime. However, it could help prosecutors connect him to the purchasing records. I mean, it's just a known fact. That's as good as ABC. And the prosecution will likely argue that the timing, the nature of the purchases, and the use of the alias form part of a broader concealment pattern. That they all form part of a broader pattern. Like, that means since he's using it, that's it. The defense can argue that ownership or purchase of an item does not prove how it was used. Okay? But again, it can show us the link. Now, when you look at circumstantial evidence, do you examine each item separately, or do you consider what happens when all the pieces are actually placed together? I want you to tell me in the comment section, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investigator. I'm, just here to, talk about what's going on. Now, this leads us to Day 5. Day 5, the final message. Okay, Day 5 included Celeste's last known communications, the prosecutor's timeline, the defense's response, closing argument, and the judge's ruling. Now, there was an argument about the April 22nd. Okay, as messages from April 22nd showed that Celeste confronted D4vd about another woman who had been at his residence. So that was the argument that took place in April 22nd, right? Now, during the argument, Celeste allegedly threatened to end D4vd's career, ruin his life, tell her father damaging information, and expose their relationship. Now, the prosecutors argues that these threats provide a motive, which indeed it does. Their theory is that public exposure of an alleged sexual relationship with a child would have destroyed his career as it should, costing millions of dollars, and potentially expose him to criminal charges. Now, the defense also interpreted those same messages differently. I'm like, when you're listening to all these things, you'll be like, you know what? Maybe all lawyers are liars. It's hard. It's hard to be a lawyer. Okay, so D4vd's attorney emphasized that Celeste was the person making threats in the messages, not D4vd. So they are not even saying that he did not have an affair with her. They have accepted that there was an affair. So that is one reason this evidence will be heavily, it could be heavily contested, but I don't see it moving too far, because as it is, the prosecution sees motive. The defense sees evidence that it was their client that was being threatened. Fine, your client was being threatened, but who is no longer with us? Threatening someone does not automatically prove that the threatened person later committed the M. Okay, so let that one be there first. Okay, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. The prosecutors must, and as they should, connect the alleged motive to the physical, to the digital, and to the forensic evidence. They have to. If they cannot prove it, then maybe they will only be holding him for the sexual allegations. But deep down inside me, I feel that this guy is cooked already. Let me know what your thoughts are. Titi Lokbe says this guy is so cooked. I agree. But we keep watching. We'll keep watching what's going on. Okay. According to the defense, she also asked approximately 7 times. D4vd initially resisted. He said he was busy before eventually agreeing to arrange an Uber. So the defense is saying she was the one asking to leave. This matter becomes, I don't even know what to say. What are your thoughts on that one? Prosecutors are saying, the defense is saying no, she was the one calling him. The defense is also arguing that someone planning to lure a victim might not repeatedly resist the victim's request to visit. So they were saying that she was the one insisting that she would visit. And then he said, okay, come. Prosecutors may respond that the initial reluctance does not rule out a plan developing later. So it's possible that, okay, he was reluctant. He didn't want her to come. He eventually said, okay, come. Maybe he didn't want her. Because she was suspecting, she was saying, okay, book an Uber for me to come. I want to come now. He didn't want her to come. 13-year-old, what's going on? What kind of children are these? Whew. And then he eventually booked the Uber. Okay? So again, the prosecutors may respond that the initial reluctance does not rule out a plan to end her developing later. Now, the disagreement will likely continue at the trial, as it should. Okay? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Let me see if I can get any other videos that we can watch together on this watch party, on this live stream. Let me see if I can get anything that we can watch, because this case, oh my God, that's all I can see right now. Let me see if there's anything that we can watch. Okay, I think I saw something. Yeah, I saw some. Let's watch this from TMZ. Let's watch this from TMZ, okay? Let me skip the ad.
Well, day 5 in the preliminary hearing for David in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And today they got into some text messages, and actually they talked about what is probably the critical text message for the prosecution between Celeste and David the night before her
give me
death.
1 second.
And
Let me share again.
The text message was, the exchange is about jealousy, basically, that Celeste.
Okay, let's go back.
questioned
Let's go
David.
back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Sorry about that. I didn't know I wasn't sharing.
The critical text message is, and today we're hearing for David in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And today they got into some text messages, and actually they talked about what is probably the critical text message for the prosecution between Celeste and David the night before her death. And the text message was, the exchange is about jealousy, basically, that Celeste questioned David about a female friend of his that apparently had posted something that made it clear she was at David's house. And the exchange went basically something like, was she there? Was she in my seat? Was she in my seat? If she was, I am going to strangle you, and I will tell my dad, and I will
ruin
expose,
you.
I will ruin your career, I'll ruin everything, I will expose you.
So the
on the evening of
okay,
April
let's go
22nd,
back.
the
Let's go
day
back. Let's go
that
back.
made it clear
Oh, she
was
said all
at
of that?
David's house. And the exchange went basically something like, was she there? Was she in my seat? Was she in my seat? If she was, I am going to strangle you, and I will tell my dad, and I will
Ruin you.
expose, I will ruin
ruin
your
you.
career, I'll ruin everything, I will expose you.
So
That's on the evening of April 22nd.
the day before, she is never to be seen again. So the prosecution's theory is that David was having sex with a 13-year-old girl, and she is now threatening to expose that, and it probably would have ruined his career. He would have lost millions of dollars,
Of
and
course.
therefore he set her up by having an Uber take her to his house the
Very
next
next
day,
day.
where he was lying in wait, and when she walked in, he killed her. That's the prosecution's case in a
Right.
nutshell.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in the text, she certainly is threatening not just his career, but saying, I will strangle you. And
Wow.
the weird part was, and tell my dad. But then you remember, she's 14.
Well, now there's something interesting that happened here. And, you know, we've been kind of wondering, what exactly is the defense going to argue in this case? Well, some things came out today. Number one, what you just said, which is, I will kill you. If that's her state of mind going to the house, and that she walks in, could David say, yes, but this was self-defense? And I'm not making, I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm
Right.
saying they
Is
need
this
to.
something they're going to say? Because we've been saying, all week we heard all of this evidence the prosecutors presented during the preliminary hearing, and we were wondering, like, what kind of defense could he possibly mount for this? Because
And all they need is reasonable doubt.
All
by
they
the
need
way.
is reasonable doubt. And these
Yes, yes. All they need is reasonable doubt. If they can prove beyond reasonable doubt then he's cooked. And it's now showing us that, okay, yes, she threatened him. She said she was going to strangle him. Could it be that when she got there, she became physical with him, and maybe he hit her and she mistakenly, passed on? I mean, we can't rule out all these possibilities. Or maybe, I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe she tried to strangle him, and he picked something and, stabbed her. I mean, that doesn't even justify whatever he did to her. Allegedly, because I don't know. We don't know yet. The case is still ongoing. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Let's continue watching.
Text messages are pretty graphic. She's saying, I'm going to kill you. And there's some detail there as well. And he could say, like, he acted in self-defense, and then he'd have to explain away through witnesses or whatever the panic and the chopping up of the dismemberment of the body.
Well, there's an answer to that, right?
Yeah.
That somebody dies.
Yeah.
Somebody dies because you actually did it, and you're saying it's self-defense, but you're sitting there with a 13-year-old who is now dead.
Yeah.
Even the self-defense will not work. Self-defense will not work in the first place. What were you doing with a 13-year-old? Having sexual relationship with a 13-year-old? Whatever that child decides to do with you after having gone through all she has gone through, you have no right. You have no business talking about self-defense. Are you dumb in the head? Self-defense? What? Am I even hearing correctly? Claiming self-defense? Let's keep watching. No, they are just assuming, right? They are assuming and I'm reacting. Self-defense cannot fly. Because as the older person in the relationship, the responsibility falls on you. That is a minor. That child is a minor.
Right. And what would somebody do in a situation like that? Would they call the police? Well, they should. Would they necessarily, or would they try to dispose of the body?
Right.
Now, another option for a possible defense came when David's attorney, the defense attorneys, brought up the fact that there were text messages leading up to April 23rd where she mentions harming herself, that she might take her own life.
Actually, it was one, from what we've seen so far, I believe it's one text message where she says, this makes me want to kill myself, something to that effect.
Now, now remember, she is now seeing that another woman was at David's house,
right,
that this woman had posted it. She was angry. She had talked about this kind of self-harm.
Yeah.
So the alternative to self-defense is she came in the house and she killed herself.
Right. And that
I disagree. Whether she came into the house and she ended herself, he still has responsibility. He is still responsible for what happened to her because she was a minor. What are we talking about here? He is responsible for whatever happened to that child. Simple and clear. He is responsible. Okay, let's keep watching.
one is, it's harder to explain the dismemberment after the fact if she killed herself, because presumably that would be more easily provable to investigators.
Right, that
than
he
if
would
he
just
acted
call
in
police and
self-defense.
say,
You would just act, but at the same time,
but the complication there is, again, that he's having sex with a 13-year-old who dies in his home.
Crazy.
Even if you're saying that even if
it.
she killed herself, he's thinking, I was having sex with this 13-year-old,
And
if I call the police,
we have just got to eliminate the body. And again, this is not what I'm believing. This is what I think the defense could argue.
Yeah.
And again, all they have to
open the
do,
door to either of those.
Well, they have to choose one. They can't do both.
They open the door to
either
using one of them.
And which one? And obviously, if one of them is true, that's the one they're going to choose. And if he wants the defense that's not the truth, he's got to figure out which one.
Yeah, they got to figure out which one, because you can't go with both.
You can't go with both.
So you got to pick one.
Right.
I don't know which one, but I think that's where the defense here is heading.
Agreed.
Hi, my name is Jazz. I'm in Florida, and I've been following this case for a while, especially from the very first time that.
Uh-oh. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Come back now. What's going on? Okay, if you're watching, let me know where you're watching from while this is buffering. I think we have actually heard what we needed to hear. Let's watch this one. Let's watch this one, okay? Let's go ahead and watch this from NBCLA. Let's listen to this.
Of a 13-year-old at the time, 14-year-old at the time, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She has held him to answer for first-degree murder with the special circumstances of lying in wait, doing this crime for financial gain, and murdering a witness to an investigation. David Anthony Burke has also been held.
So with the new evidence that is out now, we can say, was he really lying in wait? Did he have the intention to lie in wait? Okay, because with the new evidence we are seeing, she was threatening him. So it's possible that she got there and she was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So we cannot particularly say that he was lying in wait. However, he was the cause of the whole brouhaha, and he was the cause of everything. She got upset, like after everything I've been through, after all the removal of pregnancies, after all the sexual relationships we've had, after every single thing, now you now want to cheat on me with another girl, you know. She got upset and she was like, you know what? I am coming. I am da. Yes, if that is true, that doesn't also remove, it even further puts the weight on him for that sexual relationship in the first place. Let's keep watching.
To answer for the mutilation of the remains of Celeste Rivas Hernandez on September 8th, 2025. And he has also been held to answer for engaging in continuous lewd and lascivious acts with a 13-year-old. What we have seen in this preliminary hearing, and the preliminary hearing was conducted by one of our most experienced deputy district attorneys, who is right here, Beth Silverman, and her team, working with the Los Angeles Police Department's Robbery Homicide Division. They methodically presented over 5 different days before Judge Olmeda the evidence that showed, and at this point we had to show it by probable cause, but by probable cause, and I would argue by an overwhelming amount of probable cause, and we will eventually prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. It followed the timeline of the interactions between Celeste Rivas Hernandez when she started as a 12-year-old, then a 13-year-old, then a 14-year-old who never got to see her 15th birthday. Because in the intervening time where she had these interactions with Mr. Burke, he engaged in this sexual conduct with a 13-year-old repeatedly, over and over again. This came out in text messages that were presented, in videos and photographs that were presented to the judge that showed this sexual activity. Ms. Silverman methodically tracked the timeline of their interactions during 2022, 23, 24, 25, that eventually led to the time where Celeste Rivas Hernandez went over to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills on April 23rd, 2025, and has never been heard of again. But what Ms. Silverman and her team were able to show to Judge Olmeda is that on April 23rd, 2025, what actually happened was the brutal and horrific murder of Ms. Hernandez, and thereafter, over the ensuing 5 months, how her body was chopped up, left in the front trunk of a Tesla, and meet that evidence and overcome any of the arguments or evidence in the trial that will be upcoming.
Can you give us any idea the scope of without violating the grand jury statements
Oh my God, this is something. This is just the beginning of the case. this is just the beginning of the case, guys. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. They said at approximately 8:39 p.m., D4vd arranged an Uber to pick this lady up, right? At about 10:02 p.m., Celeste reportedly said she was almost at his home and she asked him to open the door. Now, at approximately 10:10 p.m., Uber records show the vehicle arriving. D4vd reportedly told Celeste that the gate was open and the back door was unlocked. Now, at 10:31 p.m., he began sending messages asking where she was. Celeste never responded. Now, with these new text messages that are coming out and this part of the case, I'm kind of confused, but I guess we'll continue to watch. We'll continue to see what happens. Investigators say she never sent another known message. So could it be that when she entered the house, she ended herself or he ended her, and then he decided, what can I do to protect myself? Investigators says she never sent another known message after that. At approximately 11:30 p.m., D4vd's phone and Tesla reportedly began to travel all the way to Santa Barbara County. That same area where Celeste's passport was, finally discovered, where they found her passport. Now, prosecutors said that she was ended during the approximate 21 minutes between her arrival and D4vd's unanswered message. Now, they are also claiming that the later messages asking where she was deliberately sent to create the appearance that she never arrived. Go to the back door. Maybe somebody was waiting for her at the back door. We never know. We'll still keep watching. Now, that is what the prosecution is interpreting. It has not yet been proven at the trial. What say you? What are your thoughts on this? Now, the defense pointed out that no eyewitness testified to seeing Celeste step out of the Uber. No publicly described surveillance footage showed her entering D4vd's home. No one testified or witnessed the ending. The defense also called, how would somebody witness it? You want to end somebody, would you end somebody where other people will see you when you want to secretly do it to protect your name? You understand all those kind of things. Now, the defense also called the 21-minute window. The defense said that 21-minute window is actually narrow. They defined it as narrow. Now, all of this that we are talking about, they are not minor details. Okay, at trial, the prosecutors may need to persuade the jurors that Celeste entered the home even without video or eyewitness confirmation. They will likely rely on the Uber records, Celeste's message, the abrupt end of her communication, and they would also look at the forensic evidence that they later found at the property. All of those things they are going to be looking at. The defense will argue that the prosecution is filling gaps in the timeline with assumptions. Yep. They will say that there's no evidence, that is an assumption. Now, this is where the difference between a preliminary hearing and a trial becomes critical. Now, at the preliminary hearing, the judge only needs to find probable cause, okay? Probable cause. Then at the trial, a jury must decide whether the evidence eliminates reasonable doubt. Okay, so these are two things. What are your thoughts? So the defense went further and argued that the prosecution's case was almost entirely circumstantial. But the truth is, circumstantial does not mean weak, and it does not mean invalid. Cases can be proven through circumstantial evidence when they combine facts, end up supporting, one reasonable conclusion. I mean, I hope that made sense. I'm not a lawyer, so take it as you hear it. So, yeah, again, no eyewitness saw Celeste enter the house. No one witnessed the ending. There was no MURDER weapon that was conclusively identified. The examiner could not determine the precise time of the passing. The DNA cannot establish exactly when or how it was deposited. Most people reportedly had access. A lot of people had access to the house. There was no documented history of D4vd physically attacking Celeste. Okay? Celeste reportedly requested a visit. Members of Celeste's family apparently knew some of their contact and travels. Did you hear that well? Did you hear? Members of Celeste's family, members, I did not say her parents, so members of Celeste's family apparently knew some of their contacts and knew some of their travel. Let that one sink in first. Let that one sink in first before we move forward. Let that one sink in first before we move forward. Some people in Celeste's family knew about their relationship. Okay, so the defense also challenged the special circumstances involving the lying in wait, the financial gain, and the ending a potential witness. They challenged all of that. So his attorneys are maintaining that he did not end Celeste. But the prosecution asked the judge to consider the evidence as a connected chain. And their argument was that D4vd knew she was a child. They also talked about the digital evidence, documented an ongoing relationship. And they're also saying, yes, she threatened to expose him. So they see that as, intent for him to end her. And it was also intent for him to end her because he had millions of dollars at stake. Okay, the prosecution is also saying that, hey, her communication stopped when she came to his home. So what are you saying? The prosecution is saying, put 2 and 2 together to make 4. But the defense is saying 2 and 2 does not always make 4. Okay, they also talked about the what was found in his Tesla and everything, fragments of her remains, his phone and everything coming together, So they all had evidences. And after all of those, after the 5 days of testimony, Judge Charlene Olmedo ruled the prosecutors had established probable cause on every count. And D4vd was ordered to stand trial for 1. First degree M, continuous SA of a child under 14, unlawful mutilation of human remains. Okay, the judge also allowed the 3 special circumstance allegations to proceed. He also allowed the lying in wait, the M for financial gain, the ending a witness to prevent the exposure of another alleged crime. Okay, so therefore, D4vd will remain in custody without bail, but he still continues to plead not guilty. The judge's ruling does not mean that he has been found guilty. We need to understand that. Okay? It just means that, hey, we are taking this case further. It means that the evidence is legally sufficient for a trial where prosecutors will face the much higher burden of proof. They will face that much higher burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, in my opinion. Okay? So, what else do I want to talk about here? So what are the things that remains to be decided when they go to trial? Whether he was the one that ended her, whether the ending was planned, whether he was lying in wait, whether there was financial motive that was a motive, blah, 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 blah. All of that will, they will be talked about. So why does this story matter to us? This case matters for reasons that go far beyond fame or celebrity news. This case forces us to confront how children mistake adult attention for love. A child may feel emotionally attached. A child may believe she's matured. A lot of these 13-year-old children, especially the girls, they always feel matured. Especially when they are 13. They feel, oh, I'm big for my age. A child may even defend the person who is crossing that boundary. But I want us to understand something. None of all these feelings turns a child into an adult. A child is still a child. 13 years old is a child. And none of all those feelings remove the responsibility from the 18-year-old, even though both of them, their lobes are not yet developed. This case shows us how secrecy can create vulnerability. When a young person is told, nobody understands our relationship, then secrecy begins to look like loyalty. When they are told to hide all the text messages, don't let anybody know. When they are told to lie about their age to protect somebody's reputation, they become isolated from everyone who may be able to help them because of that secrecy. Okay? And all of us that are parents, this is why our children must be able to tell us difficult truths without believing that our first response will be to shame them or to punish them or to reject them. Don't get me wrong. Boundaries are necessary, okay? But emotional safety is also very, very important. Let me say that again. Emotional safety is very, very important. Okay? So, what are the warning signs that we can look out for? We can talk to our children. Okay, warning signs can include an older person asking a child to hide a relationship. You need to tell your children, never hide any relationship. An older person telling the child that she's matured for her age. Tell them, no, I am not matured. I'm still a baby. These are things we need to teach our children, especially our girls, even the boys. When you are encouraging her to lie about her age, let them know that that is a red flag. Okay? When somebody begins to give them gift money, begin to give them travel opportunities that fulfill obligations, all of those things are red flags. Okay? When somebody begins to turn the child against the parent or other adults in the home, that, in my opinion, is a red flag. Oh, your mommy does not want you to enjoy life. Oh, your daddy does not love you. That's why they don't buy you all these things. I can provide for you. I can give you all these things. Red flag. Using marriage or future togetherness to justify the secrecy that is going on. We need to teach our children that all these things are red flags. Okay? Treating adults who raise concerns as enemy. So when somebody sees them and they say, what are you doing with that person? And the person say, no. And then they tell the adult tells the child, oh, that person does not like our relationship. That person is our enemy. That should be a warning sign that your child should run. Okay? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you have more money, influence, or you are older, or you have experience or authority, you carry more responsibility. You carry more responsibility for maintaining safe boundaries. Okay? These are some of the lessons that we need to learn here, both man and woman. Okay? Another life lesson we should learn is you cannot place that burden on the person with less power. It's not possible. It's not acceptable. And it is not an excuse. Okay? Another thing I can see from this case is that success does not automatically produce character. You can be successful and not have character. Talent does not automatically produce integrity. D4vd, he had talent. But where is this integrity? Integrity is what you do when nobody is watching. All of these things that we exposed. Integrity. Money does not automatically produce emotional maturity. Exactly. He had the money, but was he emotionally matured? No. A person can be successful in public and also make destructive decisions in private. And that is why we must stop confusing popularity with safety, status with trustworthiness. A famous person should face the same safeguarding questions as anyone else. I repeat, a famous person should face the same safeguarding questions as anyone else. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, okay? For all parents and caregivers, please talk to your children about online relationship before a crisis occurs. Don't wait until you discover secret messages. Please do not wait. Teach them the difference between attention and protection. Compliments, gifts, and travels do not automatically mean that someone has good intention. And as parents, we need to know the apps that our children use. You do not have to invade every private conversation, but you need enough awareness to recognize the changes and to recognize the warning signs. As parents, as caregivers, again, we need to create a home where difficult truths can be told. Your children should be able to confess. Your children should be able to tell you stuff without it leading to screaming, humiliation, or rejection. If it does, they may hide the danger. Okay? Anything like disappearance, sudden disappearances, secret accounts, relationship with other people, please, we need to take all of those seriously. And finally, keep seeking help even if the child defends the person that is causing the concern. Emotional attachment does not mean the situation is safe. And again, for young people, if an older person asks you to hide your relationship, please make sure you tell a trusted adult. If someone asks you to lie about your age, that is a warning sign. I can't overemphasize all of this. You do not owe anyone access to your body because they gave you gifts, because they gave you money. No, keep speaking until a safe adult takes you serious. If the first person you tell does not listen, continue to speak until someone listens. Okay? And let's talk about those friends, managers, and surrounding adults. A lot of people looked away. They looked away when they saw this thing happening. Please do not look away because someone is talented or because someone is famous or profitable. Don't look away. If you suspect a child may be involved in an inappropriate relationship, please ask questions. Please report concerns through the proper safeguarding or law enforcement channels, okay? Silence does not protect the child. Silence only protects the person that has the most power, all right? If there's anything you are going to take away from this life, remember this. From this live stream, remember this. A child should never, ever be expected to manage an adult's boundaries. No. Protect an adult's secret. A child should not do that. or a child should never carry the consequences of an adult's choices. Okay? Secrecy, again, is not loyalty. I want to hear from you. What part of this preliminary hearing will be the most important at trial? Is it the DNA part of it? Is it the digital messages part of it? Is it the purchasing record part of it? Let me know what your thoughts are respectfully in the comment section. All right, what are your thoughts? And please remember that this case involves a child and a grieving family. So let's try as much as possible to not blame, insult, or shame Celeste, okay? Also remember that D4vd has pleaded not guilty, and the final determination of guilt belongs to the court. So if this conversation has helped you recognize patterns involving secrecy, unequal power, or dangerous boundaries, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with another parent, with another young person, or another caregiver. Thank you for watching. At Yes Life Coaching, we help women rebuild self-trust, establish healthy boundaries, reclaim their voices, and make, empowered decisions. If you're feeling silenced, confused, or disconnected from your own power, you can book a discovery call with Yes Life Coaching. Use the link in the discovery channel. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was more than evidence presented in a courtroom. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was a daughter. She was a sister. She was a child whose life mattered. Whatever the trial ultimately decides, a story should and must always remind us that children need adults who are willing to notice, who are willing to ask questions, who are willing to intervene. Children need adults who are willing to keep showing up. Okay? Yeah, I would end this live here. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Until next time, choose truth, choose courage, protect your peace, and always stand in your power. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Take what you learned, walk in your truth. Until next time, stand in your power.